Discover the incredible transformation of baby puppy Ginger. 5 heartwarming moments with Santa's favorite. Lily blinked against the cold December wind, cradling her daughter, Emma's gloved hand in her own. The scent of cinnamon and pine hung in the air, readying their little Midwestern town for the Festival of Lights. But Lily's heart was heavy beneath her cheery smile. Bills piled up at home, whispering doubts about whether she could provide the magic of the season for Emma. Suddenly, a soft whimper broke through the chill. They turned and found a tiny, bedraggled puppy huddled in the shadows near the old bus stop. Emma's eyes sparkled with wonder as the puppy looked up, her big brown eyes pleading for love. "Look, Mom. She needs us." Without hesitation, they took the little ball of fur home, naming her Ginger. As they warmed Ginger by the fire, moments of desperation turned to joy. Emma played with her, laughter bubbling through the house. Lily felt the burdens of worries fade, if only for a moment. She knew they could give Ginger the care she needed, even if it meant stretching their own resources even thinner. The inexplicable bond they formed that first night filled Lily with renewed hope, a glimmer amidst the dark clouds looming over their lives. As the days turned into weeks, they nurtured Ginger back to health. The townsfolk watched with skepticism, their own troubles casting shadows over this act of kindness. For them, the sight of Lily combing Ginger's matted fur brought out murmurs. Why bother? What's the point? Still, Lily stood tall, and Emma, heart full of sugar and spice, beamed joy that could brighten the grayest winter. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. The Festival of Lights approached, excitement buzzing in the air. This year, they wanted Ginger to be a part of it. Emma envisioned her puppy pulling a toy sleigh. But as Lily prepared, the presence of a greedy developer loomed over their community life like a dark cloud, threatening the very character of their small town. The whispers of progress rustled through the streets, igniting fears among neighbors. On the night of the festival, the town gathered under strings of bright lights. Lily held her breath as Ginger danced among the decorations. Emma's laughter rang like bells, drawing smiles from even the hardened skeptics watching from afar. Just as Ginger leaped with joy, a sudden confrontation erupted. The developer stood, his arrogance seeping into the cheerful atmosphere, proposing his plans for a shopping complex that would erase beloved landmarks. Lily stepped forward, heart pounding, ready to defend the spirit of their community. In that moment, the festival became not just a celebration, but a battleground for hearts and souls. The townsfolk's whispers grew louder, teetering between two worlds, one of progress and another of tradition. As the stakes rose, Lily glanced at Emma and Ginger. A single question pulsed through the air. Would they unite to embrace the magic of the season, or would they let it fade into history? Lily's heart raced as she cleared her throat, stepping further into the crowd. The twinkling lights dimmed against the weight of confrontation, and the air buzzed with tension. Emma tugged at her skirt, wide-eyed and uncertain. Ginger sat at her feet, tilting her head as if sensing the unease enveloping them. "I won't let you take away what makes this town special." Lily's voice cut through the chilly air, stronger than she felt inside. Murmurs surged through the crowd like an avalanche. Some faces showed agreement, while others remained skeptical, still caught in the grip of progress. The developer smirked, his suit a sharp contrast to the flannel and knitwear of their friendly town. "This is good for the community. Open your eyes. New businesses mean more opportunities, growth, and jobs." Without opportunities, Lily shot she back firm. "This is about our memories, our community, and the legacy we leave for our children." She glanced down at Emma, who stood tall, her little hands tightening around Ginger's leash. The puppy barked softly, as if rallying behind them. More townspeople began to step forward, their murmurs shifting from doubts to support. It was small, but it was something. Lily felt a spark of hope ignite in her chest. "How can you put a price on the joy we have here? The lights, the laughter, the love," a woman from the back shouted. "These things can't be measured in dollars." Lily felt the shift, a collective energy bubbling in the air. She took a step closer, encouraged by the growing strength in unity. "All we want is a place where we can share magical moments, like tonight." Ginger represents all those warm feelings. We can't let those disappear in a pile of concrete. Emma's face lit up for a brief moment, feeling the tide turning in their favor. Her bright smile spread warmth through Lily's heart, and she knew they were fighting for more than just a puppy or a festival. They were fighting for the very fabric of their home. The developer's confidence faltered as the crowd began to murmur in agreement. Faces softened and softened, shifting from skepticism to curiosity. "Join us. Share your stories. Tell him why this matters." Lily pressed. The voices of support began to swell, each shared memory a stitch binding the community closer. One by one, neighbors stepped forward, recounting tales of holiday traditions, summer nights, and the spirit of camaraderie that had thrived among them for generations. Ginger wiggled excitedly, sensing the rejuvenation in the air. She nudged Emma, who laughed and bent down to scratch behind her ears, whispering words of encouragement. Hours passed, and the stars began to twinkle above, casting a beautiful glow on the unfolding scene. Lily felt the weight on her shoulders lift, lightened by their shared love for this town. But just as they began to feel victorious, the developer raised a hand, cutting through their warmth like a cold wind. "You've made your points, but the company has its plans set. The decision is out of your hands now." Lily's heart sank, the glimmer of hope dimming. Was this truly how it would end? Would all of their voices go unheard? She turned to Emma, who looked up at her with innocent trust, and then to Ginger, who wagged her tail, as if to say, "Keep fighting." Suddenly, an unexpected figure appeared on the periphery, the mayor, who had been silently observing. With a hand raised, she gestured for silence. What could she possibly say to shift the tides of this battle? The town held its breath, anticipation crackling in the air. Would they finally get the ally they desperately needed? Or had the developer already secured his fate for their cherished community? The mayor stepped forward, her silhouette framed by the flickering lights. The crowd leaned in, thirsting for reassurance. With a deep breath, she clasped her hands and spoke, voice steady. "Lily, your passion is contagious," she began, her gaze sweeping over the sea of eager faces. "This community is built on love, memories, and shared stories. I've seen it grow year after year, and I feel the heartbeat of our town echoing in your words today. An unexpected warmth radiated from the crowd, the sense of connection palpable. Lily felt the tears prick her eyes as she held Emma's hand tightly, squeezing it for support. The mayor continued, but our beloved town is facing challenges. Growth isn't bad in itself, but it must be balanced with the heart of our community. We cannot let profits overshadow who we are. The developer shifted, irritation dancing on his features. This town needs to modernize. This is not about robbing your cherished memories, but about moving forward. But the mayor stood firm, undeterred. And what about preserving our heritage while moving forward? We need to find a way to embrace both ideas. Community meetings, collaborative discussions. We can create a space for new life without losing the essence of what we love here. We have to work together, a compromise. A murmur of agreement rippled through the group. The townspeople exchanged glances filled with newfound determination. Remember when we gathered at the park for the 4th of July? An older gentleman called out, stepping closer. Those moments matter. They bring us together. Or last summer's farmer's market. Another voice chimed in, laughter bubbling in her tone. I met my husband there. With every shared memory, the atmosphere swelled, lifting spirits higher. Lily saw Emma's eyes shine, reflecting a spark of hope that ignited something fierce within her. The mayor held a hand up again, silencing the crowd gently. Let's channel this spirit as a force for change. If enough of us demand a seat at the table, I promise to listen. We all have a right to our voices. Suddenly, a low hum of chant began among the crowd. We want our town. We want our town. Their voices intertwined and soared, each word infusing courage into Lily's heart. She raised her fist, joining in, and felt the embrace of their collective strength. But just when it felt as if victory was within their grasp, the developer smirked once more, feigning indifference. This is entertaining, really. But at the end of the day, my company holds all the cards. You think this rally is enough to sway shareholders? His dismissive tone dropped like an anchor, threatening to pull their spirits down. Lily's heart raced. The support was strong, but could it be enough? She glanced at the mayor, whose eyes glimmered with determination. This wasn't just a moment. It was a movement. Suddenly, as if the universe was aligning, Emma tugged at Lily's sleeve. Mom, look. There in the distance, a group of children ran forward, their laughter echoing through the evening. They were holding handmade signs, colorful and bright, with slogans like Save Our Memories and Our Town, Our Home. Lily felt a surge of adrenaline flood her veins. This was it. They had to harness this momentum, this unity, but how? How could they make their voices loud enough to drown out corporate greed? With the signs of hope drawing nearer, Lily took a breath, preparing to rally them once more. This wasn't just about a puppy anymore. This was about saving everything they held dear. Could she find the right words to inspire everyone once again? Would they finally unite to fight for their home? Lily took a deep breath, her heart thumping with both fear and determination. She could see Emma's excited face, the children rushing forward, their innocence radiating pure joy. They were the future, the promise of everything this town stood for. As the kids arrived, they spread out, holding their signs high. The infectious energy surged through the crowd, igniting a pulse of hope. Together, they were an unstoppable force. In that moment, everything clicked for Lily. It wasn't merely about saving their memories or their town anymore. It was about their children's futures too. "Look at them," she called out, pointing at the children. "This is what we're fighting for. They deserve a town where they can play freely, where they can laugh with their friends, and where they can grow up surrounded by love and community. We are more than a piece of land. We are a story, a legacy." The crowd erupted. Cheers rose, drowning out any lingering doubts. Faces lit up with excitement, hope twinkling in every eye. The mayor nodded encouragingly. "Exactly. We need to protect that spirit." The tension in the air began to shift, morphing from mere opposition to a rallying cry. The developer scoffed, shifting uncomfortably as if he realized he was losing control. "But money talks. These children can't change the reality of property value," he countered, although his voice lacked the confidence it once had. "Maybe money shouldn't be the only voice that speaks." A young man shouted from the crowd, "What's a high-rise worth if it destroys our soul?" Lily's heart swelled. This was the moment they needed, a shift from despair to action. She stepped forward, rallying her confidence. "If we show them our strength, if we let them see how much we care, we can't be ignored. Let's gather signatures. Let's make phone calls. Let's fill town meetings to overflowing. Signs. Let's make more signs," the children shouted. The adults laughed, moved by their enthusiasm. As the energy transformed into organized chaos, people started spontaneously splitting into groups. Some began crafting additional signs, while others pulled out their phones to reach out to neighbors and friends. Emma ran to Lily's side, holding a vibrant sign that read, "Our home, our heart." Lily knelt to Emma's level, her excitement contagious. "You're amazing," she said, brushing an errant strand of hair behind her daughter's ear. "You always inspire me." "Mom, are we really going to win?" Emma looked up with wide, hopeful eyes, the innocence tugging at Lily's heart. "We are going to fight," Lily replied, her voice firm yet gentle. The action felt invigorating, and the fear began to melt away, replaced with a fierce resolve to protect everything they cherished. But just as they started to find their rhythm, a loud voice cut through the air. "You think this is all about nostalgia?" The developer bellowed again. He stepped forward, brimming with impatience. "You won't even see what's best for you." Lily felt her stomach drop. His words hit harder than before, dripping with arrogance. Was he right? Could they truly be blind to the bigger picture? She locked eyes with the mayor, who still stood tall, unwavering. They weren't just fighting for themselves. They were fighting for generations to come. But how could they make that clear to those who only viewed the town as a profit margin? The crowd hesitated for a moment, caught between the fear of failure and the hope propelling them forward. "Let's show him who we are. We will stand for every memory we've made, for every laugh shared here," Lily shouted, raising her fist again. But as cheers erupted, Lily couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of a much larger struggle ahead. What would happen when the media caught wind of their fight? What if shareholders saw the unrest? They needed something powerful, something that would send a message. With urgency bubbling in her chest, Lily's thoughts raced. How far would she have to go to protect her home? And as she glanced around the crowd, she realized they were ready for the next phase. But the question loomed, could they withstand the storm brewing on the horizon? Lily's heart raced with a mix of exhilaration and fear as she witnessed the swell of support gathering around her. A loud voice had threatened to bring down the momentum, but the energy surged back. This wasn't just a fight about land. It was a battle for an entire community's soul. It was their home. "Emma," she shouted, searching the crowd. "I need you to help me." Emma bounced over, her bright sign fluttering like a flag of hope. "What do you want me to do, Mom?" "Help me organize a speech." Lily laughed, adrenaline coursing through her like wildfire. "We need to rally everyone here. We need everyone to feel this." "Okay." Emma nodded fiercely, her childlike confidence reminding Lily of what they were truly fighting for. Together, they began gathering everyone's attention. As the crowd settled, Lily could see the love scattered among them, glistening in hopeful eyes ready for action. "Everyone," she called out. "What we have here is more than just a place. It's a home filled with memories that matter. If we lose this place, we lose pieces of who we are. Look at these kids. Look at our future. We owe it to them to fight." The crowd erupted again. People shouted in agreement, clapping, some waving signs high above their heads as if to catch the very clouds overhead. Lily felt her spirit lift. That doubt that had earlier pressed heavily began to fade. "Remember the summer fairs," an elderly voice echoed from the back. "And Christmas caroling down by the park?" A few chuckles bounced through the sea of faces, igniting a deeper connection. "Yes," Lily shouted, feeding off the energy. "Those are our stories, our laughter. Would you trade that for a high rise? For a few dollars more? No, that's the spirit of this town." Another young voice piped up. "What about our annual street festival?" "We can't let that go." More and more voices joined in. It was a chorus of memories filling the air with warmth. Each story lingered, weaving into a rich tapestry of who they were as a community. But then, in that vibrant moment, the developer took a step forward. "Listen, you can't stop progress. The world is changing." His voice cut through like a sharp knife, attempting to stab at their newfound hope. "Oh yeah," one man shouted back. "And at what cost? We're not looking for change. We're looking to keep our identity." Lily could feel a swell inside of her. They were realizing that this was about connection not just to a place, but to each other. She took a breath, steadying herself, knowing they needed more than words. "Let's create a vision board tonight." Lily suggested, "We'll brainstorm what makes our town special. We'll share it with everyone, media, investors, the mayor. Everyone needs to see that we are not just fighting for land, but for love, history, and community." Emma clapped her hands excitedly. "I'll bring all my friends to help." Yes, Lily felt a renewed energy ignite. "Let's show them our hearts." The crowd erupted into excited chatter, people buzzing with ideas. They began brainstorming about what they held dear, and Lily stood in the midst of it, feeling a rush of unity. But as the day turned toward evening, a tighter knot formed in her stomach. What if their voices got drowned out by the noise of corporate interests? What if their message didn't reach anyone who could help? Just then, a hush fell over the crowd as Emma tugged at her sleeve. "Mom, what if they don't care about our stories?" Lily knelt and looked into Emma's eyes, her heart aching at the thought. They will care, darling. They have to. As the sunset bathed the crowd in warm colors, an unsettling peace loomed over them. One truth remained. This was just the beginning. The storm brewing was an emotional one, and they had no idea what would come next. Would the light of their voices reach beyond the firm grip of greed? They needed to be prepared for anything. Would they stand firm, woven together in love, or would they unravel at the seams when the first obstacle appeared? As darkness crept closer, the fire within stirred wildly. What challenges awaited them in the coming fight? And would the heart of their community be strong enough to withstand the ultimate test? Lily stood there, feeling the weight of hope resting on her shoulders. She knew this was just the first step, but it felt monumental. The low hum of excitement around her was a comforting blanket, wrapping her in the warmth of community spirit. Yet, as the last rays of sunlight slipped away, doubt crept in. What if their collective strength wasn't enough? Emma sensed her mother's hesitance. She squeezed Lily's hand, taking a deep breath as the first star blinked into existence above them. We can do this, right? Like we always do. Her voice was steady and full of conviction, as if it could dispel the shadows closing in around them. Absolutely, sweetheart. Lily replied with a forced smile, but inside, her heart was battling a tempest of anxiety. They could do this. They had to. The crowd began to buzz with anticipation. People huddled in small groups, sharing ideas and memories. Lily moved among them, listening, encouraging. Every shared laugh and every nodded head added to her courage, fueling a growing fire. A man in a faded baseball cap spoke up, his voice quavering yet determined. I've lived here. My whole life my kids grew up playing in that park. We can't just let them bulldoze it all for some fancy buildings. The crowd murmured in agreement, their voices uniting, growing louder, fiercer. Lily felt it the shift. Something deep within her shifted too. She didn't just want to fight for their past. She wanted to defend their future, for Emma and all the children growing up here. Let's plan a rally. Lily's voice rang out above the murmuring crowd. A big one. We'll bring everyone together, invite the media, share those stories you love. We'll make them hear us. Emma's eyes sparkled with excitement, and she waved her arms above her head. I'll help organize. We can make banners. And maybe even invite some musicians to play. Lily chuckled at Emma's enthusiasm. Great idea. Let's show the world that no one can drown out the love we have for this place. As she looked around, Lily noticed the faces young and old, rich and struggling, all united in a single purpose. Their stories bound them, and those stories held power. Suddenly, someone shouted, "What do we want?" The crowd answered back with an unwavering chant, "Our home." Lily's heart swelled. She took a step back, allowing the energy to flow, feeling the strength of their resolve. This was more than just words. It was a call to arms, a promise to themselves and each other. Yet, in the back of her mind, doubt slithered like a whisper. What would happen when corporate representatives came in hard? Would they really listen? As they dispersed to draft plans for the rally, Lily caught sight of a familiar figure emerging from the shadows. Martha, a longtime friend who'd been a quiet warrior in their community battles. Her face was etched with concern. "Martha," Lily called out, her heart racing. "What are you doing here?" Martha's eyes were heavy, but determination shone through. Came to Saoyaori holding up. I've heard some whispers about the developers coming down this week. They won't make it easy. Lily, we need a solid plan. Lily felt her stomach twist again. We'll fight with everything we've got. But we need your experience. We need to show our stories and prepare for what's to come. But, Martha prompted, raising an eyebrow. Lily took a breath. What if they don't care about our stories? A shadow crossed Martha's face. That's what we need to figure out. But one thing's for sure. We can't wait for them to make their move. We have to strike first, show them the heart of this community. As twilight descended and lights flickered to life around the park, Lily's spirit ignited anew. You're right. We will show them. We will prepare our stories. We're not backing down. But deep down, an unsettling realization simmered. How far were they willing to go? What sacrifices would they need to make? As they began to brainstorm, the energy shifted once more. The stakes now, mighty personal. What awaited them in the face of adversity? Would the heart of their community become their greatest weapon, or would it leave them exposed in the fight for their future? They gathered again the next evening, this time around a makeshift table in the heart of the park. Lanterns hung from branches, casting a warm glow that danced in the cooling air. The atmosphere buzzed with anticipation and a hint of nervous energy, everyone keenly aware of the ticking clock. Martha led the group, flipping through notes filled with ideas, stories, and plans. All right, everyone, she started, her voice steady. We need to map out our rally. We have 5 days until the developers arrive. We need everything to be perfect. We want our voices to resonate. Lily watched as faces lit up with determination. Hearts were committed. Weight of doubting began to lift. Let's divide into groups, Lily suggested, feeling a surge of confidence that surprised even herself. 1 for coordinating logistics, 1 for publicity, and another for gathering stories. We need the media on our side. They need to understand what this park means to us. The crowd nodded, excitement mixing with urgency. Emma jumped up, her voice ringing out above the chatter. I'll handle the stories. We can create an online campaign. We can record videos of everyone sharing their favorite memories. Yes, that's it. Martha exclaimed, clapping her hands together. Real faces, real voices that can't be ignored. As different groups coalesced, homegrown ideas swirled around, filling the air with passion and hope. Children spilled laughter and warmth, weaving between older folks deep in discussion. Lily poured her energy into every conversation, carefully listening as stories began to unfold. An elderly woman shared how her late husband built the park bench as a tribute to their love. A teenager described building snowmen in the winter and playing basketball with friends in the summer. Each story connected them, creating invisible threads that reinforced their mission. For Lily, it was a constant reminder of the stakes her daughter's future depended on this fight. But then the topic shifted, and fear discussed in whispers surfaced. What if they send lawyers or goons? A young man muttered, his brow furrowed. We're just locals. They can squash us. The air thickened with tension. Lily felt her heart race again. What if they really were outgunned? But shifting her gaze to her daughter, she seized that creeping doubt and held it up like a shield. No, We can't think like that," she declared, her voice cutting through the murmur. "This park is part of who we are. We've fought many battles before. They may have power, but they can't erase our memories. They can't take away our connection." Emma squeezed her hand, eyes wide with admiration. Before closing the gathering, Lily sensed one last, crucial element was missing. We need to ensure that, when we rally, everyone knows the truth about what we're fighting for. It's not just about saving the park, but preserving our community's spirit. A ripple of agreement echoed. Lily saw nods all around. They were gaining momentum. As they packed up, the sky darkened and the crescent moon appeared, casting an ethereal glow over them. They walked home with renewed determination, shoulders squared against the night's chill. Yet, in the back of her mind, a worry stirred. Would they really be prepared for the repercussions of their actions? What would happen once the rally took place? That night, as she tucked Emma into bed, her thoughts spiraled. She whispered a small prayer that their hearts and stories could truly withstand whatever storm was brewing. And as she softly closed the door, the weight of hopeful responsibility began to press down again. What if their fight sparked a fire that couldn't be contained? What if they were all about to discover something deeper about themselves than they had ever anticipated? The next day arrived with the sun peeking through an overcast sky, dappling the park in grey light. It felt like a metaphor for the heaviness resting on Lily's heart. She moved through her daily routine with a sense of urgency that not even coffee could wash away. It was Saturday, and she had promised Emma they would spend the day together. But as much as she wanted to focus on her daughter, the rally loomed over her thoughts like a storm cloud. They decided to visit the park early, hoping the familiarity would provide some comfort. As they walked, Emma chatted about last night's gathering. "My friends are excited about the videos, Mom. Everyone is going to share their stories." Her bright voice cut through Lily's worries, lighting a flicker of hope in her chest. Lily smiled, but her gaze drifted to the swings, empty and still. "Yes, sweetheart, it'll be amazing. What if it was all a dream? What if, despite the excitement, their efforts fell flat against the might of the developers?" They reached the park, and the familiar scents of grass and blooming flowers enveloped them. Lily watched Emma run ahead, her laughter ringing out with innocence. With a heavy heart, she walked to a bench, her thoughts spiraling. Then she spotted her, a woman she recognized from the gathering. Grace, with her wild silver hair and timeless spirit. She approached, her hands clasped tightly. "I thought I'd find you here." "Hi, Grace," Lily replied, forcing a smile. Grace sat down beside her, her eyes sparkling with determination. "Have you thought more about our stories? They're so powerful. We have to make sure everyone hears them." Lily nodded, grateful for Grace's conviction. I worry. What if we can see make a difference?" Grace leaned closer, intensity in her gaze. "Every voice matters. Even when you feel small, your story could connect with someone else's. That's how change begins." As Grace spoke, something inside Lily shifted. The weight of her worry began to lift, replaced with a heat of purpose. She thought about the memories they had collected, and how every person had a role to play in this fight. It wasn't just about saving the park. It was about preserving the very essence of what community meant. Emma wandered back, flinging herself into Lily's lap. "Mom, look, I found a ladybug," she exclaimed, delight lighting up her eyes. Lily laughed and pointed. "You know what that means, right?" "It's good luck." Emma giggled while holding the tiny creature, and in that moment, all of Lily's fears seemed to fade into the background. But then, as they sat there, a loud noise shattered the serenity. A rumble of engines echoed through the park as construction vehicles approached from the far end. The developers were coming early. Panic fluttered in Lily's chest. "We need to move," she urged Emma, leaping from the bench. "We have to warn everyone." Together, they rushed towards the entrance, the ground shaking beneath their feet. Emma clutched her hand tightly, wide-eyed and breathless. What if they want to take the park today? Lily squeezed her daughter's hand, her heart racing. "We can't let them. We have to stand together." They arrived at the park entrance, where a handful of neighbors had started to gather. Confusion and fear mingling in the air, but Lily felt an unwavering fire igniting within her. "Everyone!" She called out, raising her voice over the commotion. "We need to unite now. They can't have our park. We are stronger together." As she spoke, she saw faces turn towards her, eyes filled with determination, mirrored by her own rising courage. But deep inside, the question gnawed at her: would this battle be the beginning of something incredible, or the breaking point? With adrenaline coursing through her veins, she stood determined before her community, ready to fight. What would it mean to truly stand up for everything they held dear? The crowd began to swell as more neighbors arrived, drawn by Lily's call. Faces brimmed with worry, and determination mirrored her own. She felt a wave of resolve washing over her as she noticed Emma, ever the brave little girl, stepping forward beside her. "Mom, I can help," Emma declared, her voice steady despite the chaos. Lily felt a rush of pride as she looked down at her daughter. Emma was ready to take a stand of voice in the crowd, just like her mother. "Absolutely," Lily replied, squeezing her daughter's hand once more. "We can all do something." Two of Lily's friends, Sam and Maria, joined them. Sam's brow was furrowed with concern. "I heard the trucks. They're going to try to start today," he said, his voice low. Maria nodded grimly. "We need to make noise. We need to show them we won't back down." Lily's mind raced. "Right, let's gather everyone, make a plan. We should form a line at the edge of the park. If they see we're serious, they might think twice." Emma chimed in. "We can hold our signs." She had been busy crafting colorful posters that morning. Just then, the first construction vehicle rolled into view, metal and glass glinting harshly under the dim light. Fear twisted in Lily's stomach, but she couldn't let it show. She turned to the growing crowd. "Everyone, listen," she shouted, her voice carrying, steady and clear. "We don't have much time. Grab your signs. Stand together." The neighbors rushed to act. Posters came out of bags, some hastily made by kids, others more polished, bearing messages of love for the park. Save our space, protect our community. Words of hope and defiance filled the air as a mix of anxious energy and determination took hold. As they formed a line at the entrance to the park, Lily's heart began to race again, not just from fear, but excitement and a sense of belonging. The children were by their parents' sides. The elderly held hands with the young, and the community spanned generations. They were fighting for something greater than a park. "On my count," Sam said, raising his hand calmly. We're going to shout as loud as we can. Not just for the park, but for each other. Lily's pulse quickened. Ready. Ready. The crowd echoed, a chorus of unwavering spirit and desire. 3, 2, 1. Shout. Save our park. The sound was a deafening roar, not just a protest, but a declaration of unity and resistance. Lily watched as the workers in the construction vehicles paused, unsure, momentarily halted by the power of community. For the first time today, Hoppy crept in, nutting out doubt. But just as they were beginning to feel a sense of victory, a man emerged from the lead vehicle, an official-looking badge gleaming on his chest. He stepped forward, a smug look on his face, ready to dismantle their earlier momentum. Don't you know? He called out condescending. This park is being sold. You can't stop progress. Lily felt her heart drop. Doubt threatened to creep back in, but she looked down at Emma, her fire not dimmed by the man's words. She took a deep breath, the air filling with grit and determination. Watch us try. She shouted back, igniting the crowd once more. As the chants erupted again, Lily felt that heat of purpose swell inside her. She understood that this was more than just standing against the developers. It was about love, family, and the legacy they wanted to build. What would it take for Lily to keep this spirit alive when the fight truly began? Where would that spirit lead them next? Lily stood firm at the front of the crowd, her heart pounding in rhythm with the chants echoing behind her. Save our park. Save our home. Each shout felt like a wave, crashing against the sturdy wall of the developer's arrogance. But as she watched the man in the suit scowl, a flicker of doubt crept into her mind. This couldn't just be another fleeting moment. It had to be a movement. The developer raised his voice, clearly irritated. You think your voices can stop this? We have the permits, the backing. Permits don't speak for our hearts. Lily shouted back, shrugging off the tremor of uncertainty. She locked eyes with Emma, whose small frame radiated bravery, holding her hand-painted sign high with pride. This isn't just a park. It's where memories are made. And in that moment, something shifted. A woman from the back stepped forward, her voice trembling but resolute. I was married in that park. It's where my kids learned to ride bikes. More voices began to rise in a chorus of stories, a tapestry of love, woven through laughter and shared moments. Lily felt a swell of warmth wash over her. The crowd was no longer just reacting out of fear. They were standing together to honor the life in their community. This was their home. All right, folks. A familiar voice broke through as Martha pushed her way to the front. She clutched a notebook, her determination palpable. We need to share our stories with the media. If we can flood social media with testimonials and memories, we'll light this up. They can't ignore us then. A bolt of hope shot through Lily. That's it. Emma, you were right about the videos. We need to tell them why this matters. She turned to the crowd, now bursting with energy. Who can help us gather these stories? Hands began to rise, fueled by a shared purpose. Children scurried off to gather their friends, while others pulled out their phones to record the spontaneous outpouring of passion and history. The atmosphere was electric, filled with laughter, determination, and the sound of memories being crafted anew. Suddenly, an alarm blared through the park. The noise was jarring and unwelcome, piercing through their excitement. Police cars rolled in, blue light spinning through the air, casting a stark contrast against the warm glow of the park. Fear rippled through the crowd. Are they here to shut us down? Lily's heart raced. This wasn't the end. Stay strong, she urged, her voice trembling with both resolve and fear. We can't let anyone derail this. The police officers stepped out, assessing the situation with wary eyes. One officer approached the developer. What's going on here? This community is trying to disrupt construction. He exclaimed, motions exaggerated. They're causing a ruckus. The officer turned to the crowd, hesitation in his gaze. We're just here to ensure safety, he said, raising a hand. But if anyone breaks laws or threatens the peace, we might need to take action. Panic surged, but Lily stood her ground. We're not violent. We're just showing how much we care. Emma shifted closer to her mom, wide-eyed. What if they arrest you, Mom? Something in that tiny question steadied Lily's resolve. I won't let them. We're here for love, for community, and for generations to come. More townsfolk rallied behind her, veterans and families alike. No arrest will silence us, a voice thundered from the back. This is our home. The officer looked around, the weight of their voices settling heavy. It was clear he felt the pulse of the community, but couldn't entirely dismiss the developer's claim. Lily took a step forward, feeling the connection of everyone beside her. We are not here to incite violence. We just want to preserve this place that means so much to us. Look around. She gestured to the families, the children, the laughter reaching into the sky. We deserve a chance to fight for what we love. The officer's demeanor shifted, caught between his duty and the undeniable spirit of unity, breathing life among the crowd. He nodded slowly, thinking through what he heard. All right, he said finally, but let's keep it peaceful. We're here to ensure safety, remember that. But your voices, they matter. The crowd erupted in cheers, a surge of adrenaline pumping through Lily's veins. The developer glared, his bravado eroding as he stood against the growing tide of community love. They continued to chant, empowering each other. Save our park. Save our home. As the afternoon wore on, community members began to share their stories in earnest, inspiring one another. Emma recorded videos, each one capturing laughter and memories. The air filled with a sense of purpose, and as darkness fell, hope glimmered among the twinkling lights strung through the park. Lily felt gratitude wash over her like a warm blanket. They were no longer just a few voices. They had become a chorus echoing against the threat of change. But then, Lily's heart sank again. Would it be enough? The battle was far from over, and the developer would not back down easily. As she glanced at Emma, still giggling with newfound friends, determination hardened in her chest. They would keep fighting. They would not be silenced. They were a community forged in love, and they were ready for whatever lay ahead. As the night deepened, the spirit of the park filled her soul with warmth. This wasn't just about saving memories anymore. This was about creating a future overwhelmed by the good they could accomplish when they stood as one. And with that thought, Lily allowed the weight of worry to spill away. They would succeed, whatever came next. After all, the heart of the community might just be its strongest weapon. Now, here's where the urgency surges. You need to subscribe immediately. Don't wait. not even one more second. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us grow. We want to share these incredible stories with the world, and we can't do it without you. Comment your reactions to this transformation and share this video with at least 5 friends who need to hear this fight for community. This is the moment to show your support.